7 in the morning. A traveler hits snooze one time. Just once. 9 minutes. Because of those 9 minutes, they skip checking in online over coffee. Because they skip that, they're in the slow line at the airport. Because of the slow line, they reach security behind a tour group of 40 people. Because of security, they're the last aboard. Because they're last to board, the overhead bins are full. Their bag gets taken at the door, and it goes in the hold. And because that bag goes in the hold, their medication, their charger, and their car keys land on a carousel 90 minutes after the plane does. One snooze button, a 2-hour flight, an 11-hour day. That's the cruel math of short flights. There's no slack in them. On a long international trip, you've got room to absorb a mistake. On a quick hop, every small error stacks onto the next one like dominoes, and the whole row goes down before lunch. So let's walk through the 15 mistakes that do the most damage on short flights, starting with the ones that hurt the worst. Quick honesty note before we start. Friend to friend. Airlines. And airports all run things a little differently, and rules shift over time, so treat everything here as a smart starting point and confirm the details with your own airline before you fly. Fair enough? Good. Let's save your next trip. The first mistake, and the most expensive one in pure misery. Treating a short flight like it deserves a short airport buffer. People look at a 90-minute flight and think, small flight, small effort, I'll show up an hour before. But here's what they miss. The airport doesn't know your flight is short. Security doesn't move faster because you're only going one state over. The check-in cutoff doesn't soften because your trip is brief. On many airlines, the door to checking a bag closes 45 minutes to an hour before departure. And at some airports, the boarding gate itself closes 15 minutes or more before the plane moves. Miss either cutoff by 60 seconds and your short flight becomes no flight at all. The fix costs you nothing but time. Give a short flight the same respect you'd give a long one. 2 hours domestic is the comfortable cushion many seasoned travelers swear by. The worst that happens is you sit at the gate with a coffee and your dignity intact. That's not a punishment. That's a win. Mistake number 2 cuts even deeper, and most people don't see it until it's too late. Booking a tight connection because the short first leg feels harmless. A 1-hour hop into a 40-minute connection looks fine on a screen. On the ground, it's a trap. Short flights are often the first ones delayed when weather or crew schedules wobble, because airlines may shuffle the small regional planes around to protect the big ones. And if your little flight lands 25 minutes late, you're now sprinting through a strange terminal. And if you're 65 with a knee that has opinions, sprinting isn't on the menu. In many cases, a connection of 90 minutes or more is the saner choice. And if your first leg is on a small regional aircraft, even more. Yes, the longer layover looks boring on paper. Boring is beautiful in air travel. Remember that phrase. It'll come back later when we talk about what happens to your bag during one of these sprints. Third mistake, skipping online check-in because the flight's so short you figure you'll just handle it there. Quietly, this one might be the most common error on this whole list. When you check in from home, you lock in your seat, you get your boarding pass on your phone or printed, and on some airlines you protect yourself if the flight is oversold. Because passengers who haven't checked in can be among the first considered when a full flight needs volunteers. Or, worse, when it doesn't ask for volunteers. Check-in often opens 24 hours before departure. Set an alarm for it. It takes 3 minutes in your slippers, and it can quietly save your entire seat. 3 minutes, slippers. Done. Fourth, and this one stings because it feels so innocent. Assuming your carry-on will make it on board with you. Short flights are frequently flown on smaller planes with smaller bins, and even on full-size planes, a packed flight means gate agents start tagging bags at the door. If your roller bag gets gate checked and you've packed like most people, your medication, your house keys, your charger, and your reading glasses just left your hands. Here's the move that fixes it forever. Pack a small personal item, a tote or a soft bag that fits under the seat, and put everything you truly cannot lose in there. Pills, documents, valuables, anything fragile, anything irreplaceable. Then if the big bag gets taken, you shrug instead of panic. The shrug is the goal. Always be able to shrug. Now, The fifth mistake, and we're still in the heavy hitters. Ignoring your boarding group and wandering up whenever. On a short, packed flight, boarding order is bin space, plain and simple. Board late, and the bins above your row may already be stuffed with other people's coats and bags, which means yours goes 10 rows back, which means when you land, you're swimming upstream against 200 people to retrieve it while your tight schedule burns. If your airline offers early boarding for those who need extra time, and you genuinely do, take it without embarrassment. That's exactly what it exists for. There's no medal for boarding last. There is, however, a middle seat and a far-away bin. Which brings us neatly to mistake 6, gambling on the seat. People skip seat selection on short flights to save a few dollars, thinking, it's only 90 minutes, I can survive anything. Then they're in a middle seat in the last row, next to the lavatory, in a seat that may not recline, and they discover that 90 minutes can feel like a geological era. Worse, the back of the plane usually deplanes last, and if minutes matter on the other end, sitting in row 34 can cost you 15 of them. If a reasonable seat fee buys you an aisle near the front, that's often money well spent on a tight day. And if you won't pay, at least check the seat map when checking in, because better seats sometimes open up at the last minute for free. Sometimes. Worth a look every single time. 7th mistake, smaller but sneaky. Dressing for the destination instead of the journey. Short flight, warm destination. So people show up in sandals and a thin shirt. Then the cabin runs cold, as cabins often do, and there's no blanket on a regional hop, and they spend the whole flight shivering with their arms crossed like a disappointed statue. Layers solve this. A light jacket or cardigan you can peel off costs you nothing to carry, and shoes that slip on and off easily make security smoother too, especially since requirements at checkpoints can vary, so easy shoes are never a wasted choice. Comfort isn't luxury on a plane, it's strategy. 8th, skipping food because the flight is short. This is the mistake people repeat the most and learn from the least. Here's the actual timeline of a short flight day. Leave home at 8, airport by 9, board at 10:30, land at noon, ground transport, arrive wherever you're going at 1:30 or 2. That's 6 hours, and the flight itself likely offered you at most a tiny snack and a cup of something. On many shorter routes, there's no meal service at all, so you land lightheaded, cranky, and ready to overpay for the first sad sandwich you see. Bring something solid from home, a protein bar, nuts, a sandwich made that morning. Just remember, liquids have limits at security in many places, so keep the snack solid and put your empty water bottle through, then fill it at a fountain on the other side. Old trick. Still undefeated. 9th, and this one is the quiet villain of the whole list. Booking the last flight of the day because it was $20 cheaper. Stay with me here, because this is the one mistake that turns a bad afternoon into a hotel lobby midnight. When an early flight gets cancelled or delayed, there are usually other flights behind it that day. Seats to move you onto, options. When the last flight of the day goes down, there is nothing behind it but darkness and a rebooking line. Many frequent flyers quietly live by the same rule. Take the morning flight when you can. Morning flights are statistically more likely to leave on time in many cases, because delays tend to snowball through the day as the same aircraft falls further behind. The first flight out is flown by a plane that, in many cases, slept at your airport overnight. It's already there. That matters more than $20 ever will. 10th mistake, not downloading the airline's app before you leave the house. When a gate changes or a delay hits, the app often knows minutes before the airport screens update and long before any announcement crackles overhead. On a short turnaround, those minutes are everything. The app can also hold your boarding pass, show you where your inbound plane is, and on some airlines, let you rebook yourself during a disruption while 200 people stand in a line you just skipped. If technology isn't your favorite thing, ask a family member to set it up before the trip and show you the 2 buttons that matter. 2 buttons, that's the whole lesson, and it might be the most valuable 2 buttons on your phone. 11th, putting your phone away and your headphones on the moment you sit down at the gate. Sounds harmless. It's how people miss their own flights while sitting 30 feet from the door. Gates change. Boarding starts early. Names get called for seat changes or stand by. If you've sealed yourself off, you can sit in blissful silence while your flight boards, closes, and leaves. Keep one ear free, glance at the screen every little while, and stay within sight of your gate. Boarding on a short flight can be brisk, sometimes wrapped up well before the printed departure time. The plane is not obligated to look for you. Harsh, but true. 12th. And here's one almost nobody thinks about until it bites them. Checking a bag on a short flight when you didn't need to. Think about the arithmetic. Drop the bag, that's a line. Land, walk to the carousel, that's a wait. Sometimes 20 or 30 minutes at busy airports. On a 90-minute flight, you may spend a third as much time waiting for your bag as you spent in the air. And if anything went sideways during a tight connection, your bag may have lost the race even if you won it. For a trip of a few days, a well-packed carry-on and a personal item handle almost everything. Roll your clothes, wear your bulkiest shoes on the plane, and walk off that aircraft straight into your day while everyone else circles the carousel like seagulls. 13th mistake. Treating the seat pocket like a shelf. Phone goes in, glasses go in, passport goes in. Because it's only a short flight, you'll grab them when you land. Then landing happens, you're rushed, the aisle is crowding, and the seat pocket keeps its treasure. Lost property offices at airports are full of reading glasses, hearing aid cases, phones, and travel documents that took a short flight and never came home. The discipline is simple. Nothing loose goes in the pocket, or if it does, you do one full pocket and floor sweep before you stand up. Make it a ritual. Seat pocket, seat, floor, then stand. 10 seconds that can save a $300 afternoon. 14th, drinking like the flight is long. A couple of coffees. At the gate. Maybe something stronger to calm the nerves, and now you're on a small plane where the seatbelt sign might stay on for half the flight because short routes can fly through bumpier, lower altitudes. Cabin air is dry, alcohol and caffeine dry you out further, and on a quick hop, there may be limited beverage service to rescue you. You land headachy and stiff before the day's even really begun. Water before, water during if offered, and save the celebration for the ground. Your future self, the one giving a toast at the wedding, or hugging the grandkids at arrivals, will be sharper for it. And the 15th mistake, the one that ties every other one together, planning the rest of your day, as if the flight will land exactly on time. The meeting 40 minutes after scheduled arrival. The cruise ship boarding 2 hours after touchdown. The grandchild's recital that starts at 4 when you land at 3. Short flights feel reliable because they're brief, but brief doesn't mean punctual, and air travel makes no promises to your calendar. The travelers who stay calm are the ones who built a cushion. Nothing important within a couple of hours of landing, and for anything truly unmissable, like a cruise or a wedding, flying in the day before whenever possible. A cushion isn't pessimism. It's the price of peace. And peace on a travel day is worth more than any seat upgrade ever sold. So let's land this thing. The biggest takeaways, in plain terms, give short flights a real-time cushion because the airport doesn't care how brief your trip is. Never book the tight connection or the last flight of the day if you have any choice, because those two errors have no safety net. Keep everything you can't afford to lose in a small bag under the seat in front of you. Check in early, board with your group, and do the seat pocket sweep before you stand. None of this requires money, status, or luck. It's just a handful of small decisions made the night before. And small decisions, as that poor soul with the snooze button learned, are the whole game. Because here's the truth underneath all 15 of these. A good travel day isn't an accident, and a bad one usually isn't either. The dominoes fall in whatever direction you set them up the night before. Set them up well, and that 2-hour hop becomes what it was always supposed to be. The easy part of your day. The quiet hour in the sky between one good thing and another. If even one of these saves your next trip a headache, pass it along to someone you travel with. Because the only thing worse than making these mistakes is watching your travel partner make them at the gate next to you. And if short flights have their traps, wait until you hear what hides inside airline fees. The quiet charges that can nearly double a cheap ticket before you ever leave the booking page. That's exactly where we're headed next, and once you see how those fees stack, you'll never look at a bargain fare the same way again.